Well, here we are. Rate cuts coming tomorrow, like 94% on Polymarket. And you have Shy tuning in on VPRO. He's, so the so you have Shy weighing in on VPROGs and basically saying that developments can take longer, which, really you can't argue with that. A lot of times in crypto, you can see that things take longer than they want. That's why I just put, 2027 is it going to happen next year? I don't know. And then the storm that's coming, I just saw that SpaceX is going to shoot for a $1.5 trillion valuation, or for an IPO, which would be the largest IPO ever. And when you're looking at that, man, that's a crazy IPO. Musk, I think, has 42% ownership. Right now, he's almost $500 billion net worth. And, that would probably put him close to being a trillionaire. And so when you look at that, that is pretty crazy if you think about it. And so right now in the cycle where you have half the people saying that it was a 4 year cycle, it's over. You have another group saying it's the it's working off the business cycle, money liquidity, things like that. And so when you look at those different types of things, that none of us truly know how it's going to shake out, but we know that you're going to have a new Fed chairman in May. And once Trump says that's who it's going to be, there's going to be a lot of people looking to see what that person says versus Powell, because they know that that person's going to be taking over the helm. And this administration will do anything they can to replace anyone else on the Fed board, because there's more than the Fed chair. They have different voting members. I think there's 12 of them. So, and that all ties into risk on assets, because if their interest rates are going lower, so you can go on, you can see all these people talking about AI bubble, it's already burst. I know that the U.S. is going to get some of the profit from some of the chips that NVIDIA sells to China. And if the interest rates are going lower, it just feels like there's going to melt up. They're running a deficit. That doesn't look like it's going to change. Like I talked a little bit about yesterday, I mean, 3.5 trillion. It's not popular for politicians to raise taxes or cut spending on most of the different programs. So when you look at it, I don't know. This is different than the dot com bubble, because at that point, at the end of the dot com bubble, the Clinton administration was running a surplus. That means that the government was spending uh, less money. Well, what to do? You think of students pursuing psychology? Is there any scope of future of that? Um, I don't know. Probably. I guess. I mean, I guess maybe some people are using AI to potentially, um, you know, get help that way. But I don't know. It's probably fine. I think the bigger thing, for me, would be you want to try to, spend less than you make and invest the difference, because with this, like, okay, if SpaceX has a $1.5 trillion valuation, I mean, you know, it's just the valuations are getting crazy. If you look at the richest man in the world 25 years ago and what it is now, they've grown a lot, from like 70 billion to almost 500 billion. The wages haven't grown that same amount. So, I think psychology would be okay. I don't know. It could be maybe a difficult thing to make money. I think maybe more trades, something that might not get replaced by AI. But I think the biggest thing is you need to own assets, whether it's real estate, risk on assets like Bitcoin and Kaspa, or precious metals, because they're going to be printing a ton of money. There's just no way around that. And so with Kaspa, with VPROGs, it's hard to put all these different pieces into place. I mean, some of the VPROGs is hard to completely understand, because I don't have the technical knowledge of some of those things I'm reading, like the yellow paper. So some of that I need to have what some other people are breaking down the summaries on X, or I need to have people that are, have Grok summarize it like that to help understand. And then you have Shy saying that basically that the Caspa core is hyping things up too fast, and that it's not going to be ready in time, so people's expectations might not be met, and that is possible. I don't know. It does seem like, in my experience, most crypto projects, things roll out slower. Just like, listen, Tesla has done a lot of amazing stuff, SpaceX, but a lot of goals and stuff that Musk has, or they're usually, those targets usually aren't met quite as quickly. But stuff's still happening, and sometimes with those aggressive schedules, you do get that. You just need the market. Caspa has, uh, the only biggest risk for Caspa is that with this fast emission schedule, if it doesn't get enough adoption to replace the mining rewards. Outside of that, it seems like right now with like the Lehman Bush thing lining up now, that until they start buying it, and they're not just going to dump 500 million and just, well, one, you couldn't even probably really do it, but when you're like, if you're a fund and you're like, okay, we're getting these investors, or we're coming up, we're going to invest this much money, you're going to slowly do it over time to try to get the best prices you can. And, if you're looking at it long term on a 10, 20, 30, 40-year time horizon or something, then, you're just like, well, we're going to invest 500 million over the next 3 years. And, just like, I know when Warren Buffett's trying to buy like Apple, or he's trying to buy a different stock, he's trying to buy like 5% of the daily trading volume or something over time. And so, right now, basically, if it's going to work out like lots of people think, you can still front run those people, because it takes time for Lehman Bush to do that. They're not going to do it all in one fell swoop. And you can see MicroStrategy buying high, low, they're getting a lot of FUD because they're keeping cash to pay out some of those dividends now. Um, you can see that Tether's getting a lot of FUD with, they're getting a lot of FUD. And I don't know, it's weird that people are FUDing them for holding gold, which they hold more gold than many countries, most countries. And so that's just weird, if you ask me. So right now, it's interesting because you can see people that are making strong cases for bear and bull market for next year. We don't truly know, but it does feel like they're going to print money. At some point, quantitative tightening is stopped, so quantitative easing is going to start. The next Fed chair is going to be someone aligned with this administration in lowering interest rates. You can see that SpaceX might have the largest IPO in history. Thanks for tuning in, Raul Sanchez. I know sometimes what I see is a different handle that pops up on YouTube. So buckle in. There's going to be a lot of volatility right now. Looking on Polymarket, you're looking at like 94% for a rate cut tomorrow. And you look back at September, and the market went up after that rate cut. October, we've went down since that rate cut. Whether 80,000 was the bottom from Bitcoin, we don't know. There's a nice rebound today, and that's the thing. Rate cut comes out tomorrow, but the Fed chair says something the market doesn't like, and it goes down and then up, and then you have, like Jamie Dimon runs on CNBC, smashes Bitcoin, but then behind the scenes they're buying it. So, thanks. Just a Nike hat. Still on vacation for a few more days. Thanks. Yeah, these are Gooder glasses, just Good and R. They're like 25 bucks at a local running store, and polarized, so pretty good. But yeah, yeah, they're good glasses. But yeah, it's interesting. We're in interesting times right now with a lot of the transition with the monetary system and the amount of money that's going to be printing. That's why I think it's different than 1929, different than 2000. Not that we might not have an AI bubble, that Taiwan might get invaded, the whole AI thing might get, smashed down for a while. but you're also, a lot of people are starting to realize that they need to invest and buy assets. I'm in Hawaii right now, in Maui. So I know a lot of people, someone asked, is it overrated? I think it's pretty good, you know. I think that it's kind of expensive compared to Mexico. Um, but me and my wife like Mexico a little bit better. But in terms of just what we're going after, but it's pretty awesome. You know, it's relaxing, it's warm compared to where I'm from, and just pretty chill. It's a pretty cool place, island life. You know, you can be ambitious and do a lot of different stuff. You know, we have a young kid now, so we're uh, you know we're not that ambitious. We've done a few things, but just basically hanging out at a nice resort. We've never stayed at a resort like this, so pretty cool. Well, I guess that's all I got for today. You know, basically a lot of the stuff I'm seeing is shy and people trying to figure out between what Eager and Yonatan, what they're kind of agreeing on, what they weren't agreeing on, where Eager can fit in. You know, some people don't like their token sell. I don't know. Fine, don't have to buy it if you don't want it, and or take part in it. And more people building. And at the end of the day, you're going to have, you know, you need to have contention. If everyone's just pretty much all in agreement on every single little thing, then the ecosystem's probably not big enough. You can see Bitcoin with Bitcoin Core and knots, that whole debate, and and so, which is actually kind of big because some people basically want to freeze some of the UTXOs on Bitcoin with the new upgrade. I don't know. I think that what's interesting is the people that the fundamentalists on Bitcoin think are the spammers, which I have in it, Bitcoin ordinals and runes and stuff. And so I'd be labeled that. But the those people trading runes and ordinals are making more on-chain transactions than those other people that are against it. And what's monetary? So if I have a runes and I sell it to you or an ordinal, that's a monetary transaction. They just don't like it, and then they're using like CSAM and child porn as FUD to basically say. So I don't know. There's I see that's just constantly over my version of X, and right now Shy talking about eGrup and Caspa cores a lot on there and the rate cuts. So that's all I got. I appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in, and sorry about the audio and everything, but on Sunday I think I'll be back in the studio. So thanks for watching and have a good day.